Hey guys, welcome. The original M80 was just released early this morning, and the feedbacks so far are quite positive. Many players love the ship because of its sleek design, sexy look, luxurious interior, and I also just made a video on what ship can fit the M80, and the results are very good. Many ships can fit it well. So all this will add to the temptation to bring her home. However, to really answer the question of should you buy or upgrade to the M80, we must not only look at her appealing appearances, we have to look deeper and check out some of the basic stats and compare it with some other ships in order to find out whether it will be a good fit in your fleet or not. So in this video, we will compare it with another heavy fighter, the Guardian MX. And the reason I choose Guardian MX is that I think the MX is the closest to the M80. They both have 4 hardpoints. The M80 has 2 size 4 and 2 size 5. The MX has 4 size 4. So very close in terms of the weaponry. And for some other heavy fighters, such as the FAC Lightning, 4 size 2 and 4 size 3, they are not in the same weapon level. So that is why we're going to compare it with a Guardian MX. So on my left is the original M80, on my right is a Guardian MX. Now, we're going to compare these stats, but keep in mind that all these stats can change in any patch. We've had too many cases like the nerf of the Ion or especially the nerf of the Redeemer. So any of the stats can change. But as of right now, 4.8.0 live, here are the stats. Now, the first thing that surprises me is the total health point for the M80. The M80 total health is only 1700, but the Guardian MX is close to 90,000. That's many times over. The vital part for both ships are in the body, but the M80 is only 5,000 HP, and the Guardian MX is 8,100 HP. So look at these hull health and vital part health numbers. Now, if we go to this comparison page, this is a list of total hull health for every single ship. Now, 1700 HP will put the M80 right here. It's a little bit more than the Anvil Hawk, but the Anvil Hawk is a light fighter. So this hull health puts the original M80 into the column of light fighter or medium fighter even. Some of the Hornet Mark 1, 15,000 health. And the Cutter is more than the M80. And the Hurricane is another heavy fighter, over 18,000. And the Saber is 23,000. And the Talon, almost 25,000. Talon Strike. Even the Meteor, which is quite fragile, has a better total health than the M80. And other heavy fighters like the Inferno, the Ion, 38,000. The FAC Lightning, 40,200. And the Harbingers are all over 42,000. And the Scorpius, 43,000. Stinger, 47,000. And the Vanguard Hoplite, even 57,000. The QI and the Guardian itself, almost 70,000. And then we'll go to the Guardian MX, 89,300. So the M80's total health is very little compared with all other heavy fighters. Not only that, if we look at the vital part health, the M80 in the category of right here, same as the Gladiator, the Shiv, and the Drake command module, Freelancers, Cutlasses. Well, I guess this is alright because the Scorpiuses are 6,500. The Guardian and Guardian QI, 7,000, and Guardian MX over 8,000. And the Lightning, over 9,000 even. And the Eclipse and the Vanguards, 10,000. So you can see 5,000 HP. It's in the lower end compared with all other heavy fighters. Now, back to our comparison. One little advantage for the M80, which is regarding the damage modifier. The physical damage modifier is minus 25%. So it will take less than 25% of the physical damage, which is the ballistic damage for the ship hull. But it will also take less than 40% of the energy damage. But for the Guardian MX, the physical damage modifier is the same. However, the energy damage it will take more than 10%. But the Guardian MX will have a more signature increase in terms of the stealth. So if we skip all that and just look at the stealth signatures, the top of the M80 is 14,689. The top of the MX is only 9,000, even though the front and the side of the M80 is better than the front and the side of the Guardian MX, but because of the top cross-section. So I am not sure the M80 will have more stealth advantage than the MX. As a matter of fact, I think the MX can be stealthier than the M80, because sometimes it's really difficult to manage the angle that you're facing your enemy. If you expose your top, you will get detected really quickly, but provided that's when you minimize your EM and your IR. So that's the stealth comparison. Next comparison will be the armor health. The M80 has only 7,200 hit points, but the Guardian MX 10,800 armor health. Now, next one is damage deflection threshold. The M80 is 41 for physical and energy is 32. However, the Guardian physical is 54 and energy is 40. So that's another advantage of the Guardian MX over the M80. Higher damage deflection threshold. But the M80 does have a little advantage, which is right here, the durability damage modifier for your armor. So the armor of the M80 will take minus 90% of the physical damage, which is more than the minus 15% than the MX. It will take extra 8% of the energy damage for the M80, which is lower, much lower than the plus 21% of the energy damage for the MX. So I guess that will compensate for the lower armor health. Now here comes the biggest advantage of the M80. So default loadout for both ships are all stock laser repeaters. So for the M80, 2 size 4 and 2 size 5 will give you a burst DPS of 4,091. Yet the Guardian MX has only 3,272. That's a pretty significant difference. And sustained DPS, the MX not even 2,000, but the M80 almost 2,500. However, the total missile damage of the M80 is less than that of the Guardian MX. We're gonna look at the missiles later in the video. Now, another advantage of the M80 is that it has 2 ICU of cargo space. Guardian MX has 0. I'm not sure you can even tractor a 1 ICU box onto the MX or not. The next advantage of the M80 is that it has a little bit more hydrogen fuel, 12.9 ICU, but the Guardian MX has only 9 ICU. Quantum fuel, M80 is 1.9 ICU. The Guardian MX is 1.8. Not much a difference, but big difference will come in terms of their flight performance. This is also very important. For the M80, SCM speed is 225 without a boost. The MX is only 208. When boosted forward, the M80 can reach 560 meters per second, but the MX can only reach 455. That's a big difference. So as a heavy fighter, the M80 is quite fast. Now, navigation speed is even faster. Maximum is 1,400 meters per second. The Guardian MX is only 1,100 meters per second. However, in terms of the maneuverability, pitch, yaw, and roll, the M80 is 38, 30, and 150 degrees per second. The MX is 39, 39, and 120 degrees per second. So pitch, they are very similar. However, yaw, the Guardian MX has a lot more advantage, 9 degrees more than the M80. The reason I think is because the design of the ship. The Guardian is like a TIE fighter. It's really easy to pitch up and down and yaw left and right because of its shape. But the M80, it's a flat, like a fighter jet. So up and down pitch is pretty good, but yaw left and right, not so much. However, the roll is 150. The roll is pretty good because of the big maneuvering thrusters. But the roll for the MX is 120. So that's a pretty big difference. Now, in terms of the insurance, we don't have the data yet, actually. First of all, the insurance timer and cost. So let me scrap this M80 first, and then right away, I'm going to claim it. Oh, yes. This time, it's 26 minutes for a standard claim. But if you want to claim insured loadout, that's 26,608. That's without any upgraded components. If you just put a paint on it, you'll pay this price. Now for the Guardian MX, the timer is 24 minutes, but the cost is 26,424. Yeah, the cost is almost exactly the same. So these two ships, in terms of the insurance cost and timer, they're almost the same. Well, we talk about the weapons. So we're gonna check out the missiles and then components. So missiles for the Guardian MX, we have 16 size 8 and 4 size 3, which can be turned into 32 size 1. But for the Guardian MX, you have 24 size 2. Even though you cannot change these missile racks to equip size 1 missiles, but 24 size 2 missile equals to 48 size 1 missile damage. So that's why the missile damage of the M80, which is 32 size 1, is less than the 48 size 1 missile damage of the Guardian MX. So that's another advantage for the Guardian MX. Now in terms of the components, they all have 2 size 2 shields. But the M80 has only 1 size 2 cooler. The Guardian MX has 1 size 1 and 1 size 2 cooler. So it's got a 1 extra size 1 cooler. Not a significant difference. They all have size 1 life support and size 2 radars. However, in terms of the power plant, the M80 has 2 size 2. The Guardian MX has only 1 size 2. So that is why the Guardian MX power management is a lot stricter than the M80. You really need a good power plant in order to power up the Guardian MX if you're using full energy weapons. But for the Guardian MX, 2 size 2 power plants, that will provide sufficient power for most of your components and weapons, even if you use energy weapon. Now, M80, let's look at the power management. So stock components with 1 cooler. You can see I have extra
shield system
power that I can give to most of my components. Wow. If I turn off life support and give 1 more pip to shield generator, then I have almost full shields, full engine, and full weapon. This is nice. However, one difference is that on the M80, I don't see a engineering terminal. You can't use that terminal to manage the engineering. We're gonna start with the Guardian MX first. So look at the power management. I'm gonna have to turn off the cooler to get more power, and my radar doesn't have enough power. I'm gonna give all power to my guns, and that's it. My shield is half, engine is half, because I don't have another power plant. Not sufficient power. I'm gonna turn off my life support and then give it to my shield a little bit more. That's it. Let's go. Now, the M80 does have a lamp system like that. Wow, purple. Also, M80's light is white light.
collision 4.
Pretty good.
Warning.
Okay, M80, the size comparison with the Guardian MX. Yeah, the M80 is longer than the MX, but the width is also shorter than the MX. Now, the M80 is a very thin ship. Ooh, this angle, the M80 is so much smaller than the MX. But yeah, much lower than the MX. So that's the size comparison. And now we're gonna do a combat comparison.